Good evening, everyone. We'll go ahead and get started. Want to thank all of you for taking the time out of your evening to join us tonight. Hopefully, you're able to take something from this session. GNOA has graciously volunteered to do a new football officials training tonight for you guys and girls out there. So just a couple of hints, best practices, I guess you could say. We did move you over to panelists to be a little bit more intimate feeling for our newer officials. We have the question and answer box in the chat box. So please feel free to ask questions, make comments in either of those boxes. If the questions are relevant to the topic we're speaking, we may answer those when there's an opportunity. If not, we would just hold off to the end if it's a general question about the season or anything like that. So again, thank you tonight for joining us. Thank you, Greater Naples Officials Association, for volunteering and doing this for us. So I'll turn it over to Rob Mackett. He's the president of Greater Naples Officials Association, and let him say a few words. You're on mute, Rob.
Sorry, thank you, Jeremy. On behalf of my fellow officials, Doug Ferenchek, James Merrow, Brad Wass, Troy Costain, and new officials that just completed their first year, William Castillo and Ian Anderson, I want to thank you for inviting us in to do this training session for you tonight. On behalf of the FHSAA and football officials, coaches, and players across the state, welcome to football officiating. And we're really, really happy to have you join us. Congratulations on being here. We don't have scores of people lined up to become football officials, so I want to ask you a question. What exactly prompted you to become a football official? And I want you to think about that, and we're going to pop up a poll here in a second. I'll tell you how I got involved. One Saturday morning, I was at the YMCA, 8 o'clock in the morning, and one of our fellow officials had been after me for 3 years to get involved. And he kept coming to me and saying, listen, you really need to become a football official. And I procrastinated and put it off and made every excuse. And eventually that Saturday morning, I decided, you know what, I think I'm going to become a football official. I was there to see my daughter play her 8-year-old basketball game at the Y. And I walked over and I knew there was a coach whose daughter was on the same team. So I went up to the coach. I understand you're the head football coach at Naples High School. He said, yes, Bill Kramer, who's now in the FHSA Hall of Fame. And I told him, Coach, you know what? I think I just decided to become a football official. And he said, well, why do you want to do that? I said, well, I played the game. You know, I really love the game and I'd like to be around the kids. And I think giving back to the community would be great. And he said, you're going to be a terrific football official. So he's in the Hall of Fame as a football coach, but he obviously is not very good at evaluating football officials. But anyway, I said to him, kind of perplexed, I looked at him, I said, why are you saying that? He said, you'll see. I go, what do you mean? He goes, you'll see. So the first year comes and goes, and it's the last meeting of the year, and they're handing out the checks at the last meeting of the year. And as they hand out the checks, they used to get paid once a year, and it was at the end of the year, they're handing out the last check, and everybody's getting up to leave, and the president says, we'll see you all next year. And I said, excuse me, and I put my hand up, and they said, the new guy has a question. And I asked them if we were ever going to get any training whatsoever. And the president and the vice president looked at each other kind of red-faced and said, you know what, we really got to do something about that next year. So with the Greater Naples Officials Association, we've been in existence for 6 years, and our motto is to recruit, train, and develop. And we have put a great emphasis on training, and we're happy that you're with us tonight. This is the training that we do for our brand new guys. If we could be together. With COVID, obviously we can't. Fred, what have we got for the poll results? Okay, wonderful. Love the game, 89% of us. That's great. Most of us played the game, watched the game on Saturdays or Sundays. That's great. We have a bunch of people doing it for all the right reasons. And look at that, a big fat 0 for the money. That is fantastic. That is fantastic. You know, once you get around the student athletes, you're going to find, like, as you get involved in this, you're going to find that it's really refreshing to be around them, and it brings you back to the days when you were playing sports. And anyway, you're going to love it. I got involved for the following things. I love the game myself, just like you guys do. I played the game. I really love it. Being around the athletes is fantastic. We've seen some terrific athletes, some of them that are in the National Football League, some headed to the National Football League. And it's great to be around them. And you're giving back to your community, but there's a fourth thing that really takes hold of you after a while. And that's the fellowship and the camaraderie that you get from being around your fellow football officials. And I think no matter all the friends that you have in your life right now, some of the best friends you're ever going to meet, trust me when I tell you this, are the guys you're about to meet when you start to officiate football. These are terrific people that come from all walks of life, and you're going to meet some terrific friends that you're going to be in a foxhole with every Thursday or Friday. And you'll see for yourself, there's a lot of great people out there that are involved in officiating. I hope you get to love it as much as we all do. What we want you to do tonight is to click the chat button right now and just type in the town or the city where you're from so we can get a good idea of where you're coming in from all across the state. We're encouraging you to ask questions, and we want you to submit your questions in the Q&A, okay? So this online training that we're doing tonight, it's a little bit of a more difficult endeavor. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of information, but do us a favor, don't get overwhelmed. We're gonna try and keep it as simple as possible. And we're gonna look at each position and study what we do with each of the 5 positions on the field. The 3 points of emphasis that we're gonna make on every single position are what that person does before the game, what they do before each play, and what they do during each play. Now, we're not gonna talk about kickoffs or special teams, field goals, tries. We're barely even gonna talk about the coin toss because we're keeping it simple. If we have to do a second one and talk about some of those things a little more advanced, we'd be happy to put something together. So some of you might be asking yourselves some questions right now, like, is this right for you? Pretty soon you're gonna be walking into a room full of strangers. It can be a little intimidating. And you're gonna be saying to yourself, am I ready for this? There seems like there's a lot of rules to learn. Am I going to get yelled at? Will I have the time? What if I make a mistake? You're going to have a lot of self-doubt. Don't let it creep into your mind. Do not let it do that, because I'm telling you, once you get started into this, it's going to be in your blood. You're going to see for yourself. One of the greatest mistakes I've ever made was not getting into this earlier. And I wish the fellow that had brought me into officiating, that had tried to get me to come in for 2 or 3 years before I actually committed, had actually convinced me to come the first time, because I'll tell you, it's terrific. Now, you're going to have a lot of questions, and we're encouraging each of you to ask a question tonight, and every question is a good question. So fire your questions away. We want to see one question from every person tonight. With that, we're going to get started. So we're going to talk about the 5 positions on the field: the referee, the umpire, the linesman, the back judge, and the line judge. And our goal is to get you to start thinking about which position might be right for you. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about the referee, because quite frankly, the referee's for a position that once you've been doing this for 2, 3, 5 years, then you move your way up to the referee position. So let's have a look at the 5 officials on the field. Okay, as you can see from this slide right here, you have the referee back behind the quarterback, back behind the offense. In front of him is the umpire, who hangs out behind the linebackers back there. On the far side, you're going to see the linesman. He's on the visitor's side with the chains. On the home team side over here is his partner, the line judge, that looks after the home team. And way back in the back here is the king of our defense, the back judge. So those are the 5 positions on the field. And with that, let's get started. And we're just ever so briefly going to touch on the referee position. None of you, again, are going to be referees right now, so it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to talk a whole lot about it. But the referee is the person in charge of the game. He's in charge of the crew, and once we take the field, he's in charge of that field. It's all on the referee. But he's only as good as the crew on the field and the clock operator up in the box. So the reason why we like to do training is because if you guys are more experienced when you finally take the field, it helps us out, because, again, the referee's only as good as everybody on that crew. The referee exudes confidence. He exudes confidence to not only the coaching staff, but to his fellow officials and the players, the combatants themselves. So, and to the administration of the schools as well, too. He's an excellent communicator. He or she is organized and prepared. They make contact with the home school before the game, well in advance, and their crew well in advance of the game. And so they explain to the crew what's expected of them, where they're going to meet, what time they're going to meet. And then he runs a pregame. Now, on most of the games that you're going to be doing, okay, you're going to be doing games that are going to start sometimes at 5 o'clock, and we can't have elaborate pregame meetings before those games because most of us don't get off work till close to 4 o'clock. So we're lucky if we can get any semblance of a pregame meeting in before a 5 o'clock game on a Thursday night. But you'll have a pregame meeting before every game. If it's a Friday night game and it's a 7:30 kickoff, we will be at the school by about 5:30. Not about, we will be there by 5:30, and we'll be in the locker room. And we will pregame for at least an hour before we even put our gear on and head out to the field. We will go over different topics, what happened last week, different rules, ways we can get better, all of that. But on Thursday, you're going to be limited in going over that. The referee knows the rules inside and out. He enforces the penalties along with the crew inside and out, knows the penalty enforcement. He controls the game clock and the play clock. But his primary responsibility after that is to focus on the quarterback. And so on many plays, if there's a pass downfield as a referee, I don't know whether the ball was intercepted, complete, or incomplete because I'm staring at a quarterback to make sure that that quarterback's not going to get hit with a late hit or some sort of a cheap shot. So let's roll to the next slide, Brett. Okay, now we have partners and tandems within our team of officials. Again, there's 5 of us on the field. And the referee and the umpire work cohesively together on every single play. The referee and the umpire count the offensive players together on every single play. So if there's one thing I can teach you to get you through your first game, I can make you look like a superstar. If you can count to 11, and if you can make a clenched fist and extend your arm out in front of you and count 11, depending on what position you're working, and you can count 11 players on your side of the ball every play, you will look like a hero to your first crew that you're working with. Again, tonight, we're going to focus on 3 areas of the game for their position, what they do pre-snap, pre-game, pre-snap, and during the play. We'll go, okay. The next position we want to talk about is our partner, the umpire. And with that, we're very fortunate tonight that we have an umpire. I'll tell you a little story on him. Doug's been officiating now for, I think, 6 or 7 years. And I first approached Doug 7 years ago, and I said, Doug, how would you like to officiate football? He goes, well, I coached youth league a little bit up in Ohio. I think I'd like that. And we got him out to watch us do some games, and boy, was he ever pumped up when the next season came around. So the next season comes around, and Doug's got his first assignment. He's got a 5 o'clock freshman game, and he's all pumped up and ready to go. I'm surprised I didn't get a call from the sheriff's department the night before saying, hey, one of your guys slept in the parking lot here, getting ready for his game tomorrow. But anyway, 5 o'clock rolls around, they kick the ball off, and the receiving team gets the ball, and they run up to the 25-yard line, and Doug grabs the ball and puts the ball down, holds up 1 for first down. We're ready to go, and all of a sudden, it absolutely starts to pour. It goes from 0 to you can't see your hand in front of your face. I'm standing on the sideline. The principal says to me, "You're going to cancel the game?" I said, "No, that's the referee's job." And I don't hear a lightning horn. All of a sudden, the horn goes off. The athletic director says, "Come on, we'll take you inside." And it's just pouring. We go inside. I'm in there. And down the hall comes Doug, the guy who had this great big smile on his face as the game started. He looks as he's starting to walk down the hall. He's leaving a puddle with every step as he comes down the hallway. Finally, he turns and he walks in the room. That smile is gone. He looks like a kid that's been told we're not having Christmas this year. And he looks right at me and said, "They waited 31 years for my debut. They can wait another 45 minutes. Our umpire is Doug Ferenchak.
Thank you, Rob. And it wasn't 31. It was more like 42. Anyways, guys, welcome to football officiating. And it's one of the best decisions you'll make. Trust me, you're going to have a great time. The worst part about this is the last game of the season, because I can't wait for spring football, which we didn't get this year, but I'm chomping at the bit and ready to go for this year. It's the best. Anyways, guys, like Rob said, we are partners with the referee. When we first walk on the field, we're going to be with the referee, and we're going to meet with each coach individually, and we're going to have our coaches meeting. In that coaches meeting, the referee is going to do 95 to 99% of the talking. He's going to go through, make sure all the players are ask the coaches that all the players are properly equipped. And he may ask them, and if not, you can ask at the end, "Coach, do you have any braces, cast, anything like that that needs to be checked out?" And if that's the case, then he'll either call them over or you can go check them out. He may say 14 has a cast and 68 has a brace. We're just making sure that they're legal and nothing's wrong with it. After the coaches meeting, both coaches meeting, I normally head to each sideline. I look for the equipment manager or the ball boys and ask for the game balls. I'm going to check in the game balls. I'm going to look at them, make sure they're legal footballs, make sure we don't have any deflate gate things going on. And I normally mark my balls with a little Sharpie. I just put a dot in the same spot every time. I know that's my mark, and we see the ball on every play. And so we know if it's a game ball or not. After I get the balls checked in, the teams are warming up on the sidelines or on each side of their 45-yard line. I'm paying attention to the uniforms. Do we have bandanas hanging out the back of the helmet? Tinted face shields? Do we have knees not covered? Shirts rolled up like Zeke Elliott? You know, those little wristbands that everybody wants to wear on their arms to help them hold the football or whatever. The stuff they can't have. Those are hazards, and we tell them to get them off and stuff like that. When we're getting ready for the kickoff, we will be escorting the visiting captains out onto the field. We will be with the line judge. The line judge and us, we will start making our way to the center of the field. The line judge will stop short. Or I'm sorry, not the line judge, the back judge. It is the back judge. And we will be heading onto the field. We will escort them to the middle of the field, and we will be at the coin toss, and we will record what happens. Now we're moving into our pre-snap, what we're going to do. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to spot the football. You can't have a snap without a football. So we're going to spot the football. Now when we spot the football, I normally wear 2 down indicators on my hands. I have one that tells me the down, the other one, the location of the football. I do it as I'm facing the offense, which would be my right hash. We'll say we're putting it on the right hash. It would be the offense's left hash. After I mark those down, I look at my 2 wing officials and I look at the box and I say, we got first down, and I'm going to start backing up 5 to 7 yards off the ball. I am also counting the offense with the referee. I count by 3. It makes it easier. I got 3, 3, 3, 2, boom. I got him. Rob, we're good. We're good, Rob. I verbalize it sometimes. If I'm out of breath because I just ran 40 yards, I'll probably just hold my hand out, and he normally gives us a look and a nod, and he'll signal back to me. I am also watching the players as they come out onto the field or to the line of scrimmage. That I've got 5 players, 50 through 79 on the line of scrimmage. These guys are ineligible to catch the ball by number, and we just have to make sure we've got 5 guys, 50 through 79 on the line. I also position myself that I can see the football. I'm watching the football and I'm watching the snap, watching for the snap to happen. Once the snap happens, I make sure it's a legal snap. And then I go to my keys, which is guard, center, guard. I'm watching the blocks that happen, and I'm watching what those guys are doing. The guard, center, and guard, are they pass blocking or are they run blocking? If they're run blocking, I'm going to look for the point of attack, and I'm going to watch the action at that spot. If it's a pass play, I'm going to start making my way to the line of scrimmage. I'm back 7 yards. I'm going to start moving up to 4 to 3 yards from the line of scrimmage. As long as the quarterback's back in the pocket. I'm watching my guys in front of me. That way, if they start getting past me, we've got guys downfield if the ball is thrown past the line of scrimmage. If the quarterback starts scrambling, I'm going to get to the line of scrimmage and stand on that line of scrimmage and watch where that quarterback goes. Because if he decides to throw the football, I want to make sure we have a legal forward pass, that he had part of his body behind that line when he released the football. Now, at the end of every play, we need to get the football. Now, the play may end at your feet. The play may end out of bounds, may end 60 yards downfield. We need to get to that spot. We're going to rush and get to where we need to be. If the play is out of bounds, more than likely the wing official will have the football and he'll shuttle it into you, or he'll pass it back to the back judge and he will get it to you, and we're going to spot the football off of the covering wing official. He'll give us our mark. We'll set it down. We'll change our down indicators. We got second down. And if we move to the other hash, I flip to the other hash on my hand and basically rinse and repeat. We're going to do it all over again. Now, in the event of a penalty, we will have the football. We will be at the spot of enforcement. Let's just say this play, we had a defensive pass interference. The back judge comes running up saying 14 defensive pass interference. Well, I'm going to get to the spot of enforcement, which will be the previous spot. That's where knowing where the ball was comes into play. If we're on the, say, go back to the right hash where we started, my right hash, offense's left hash, I'll stand there. I will look at my head linesman. I will give him the 1 signal for 5-yard penalty, a 2. I'm kind of going away like Marty McFly there. 2 for a 10-yard penalty and 3 for 15. In this case, we have a 15-yard penalty. I'll tell him 3, we're heading that way. We should end up at the same spot. Spot the football, move your down marker if needed, get it set, they're ready for play, we're backing up, doing it again. And that's pretty much a Friday night for an umpire. It is, in my opinion, the best position. You are in the game. It is around you. You see it, you smell it right there. It's the only place I want to be on Friday night.
Thanks, Doug. That's great. The umpire position, it gets a little hectic in there. Usually that's for the bigger and sturdier guys in there because it is hectic, okay? So anyway, Fred, we have a couple of plays we want to show, right? Let's roll a couple of different plays so we can see some plays here before we move on and talk about what these guys sometimes refer to as the wing officials, which are the guys on the sidelines, the linesman and the line judge. So let's look at this particular play. These are just 3 plays we picked at random. Okay, there you can see the referee, like we've told you, counting. He's got 11 players, and he's counting with the umpire on this play. And the linesman, that's the guy over there with the chains on the far side. He's probably verbalized it and said, I got 11. So, okay, so you can see his hand out in front of him. The umpire's backing off the ball back here by the linebackers, and you can see his arm back out. He's telling the referee, and he's making eye contact. I got 11 on offense as well, okay? So we know we've got 11 players. We don't want to play with more than 11 players. We want to make sure that there's a right number on every down. The linesman, of course, is straddling the line scrimmage up at the top. And the line judge down here on the home team sideline, he's straddling the line of scrimmage down here while the umpire is backed off of the ball, okay? So let's run this. You can see the umpire's about 8 yards here. Doug said 5 to 7. He might be a yard too much, but that's okay. Everyone's reading run play. Okay, everyone reads run play here. So we have a run play. It doesn't gain a whole lot. And we have an umpire that's rushing in. He's quickly going to pick the ball up like Doug said. And then he's going to look over at his linesman or his line judge, and he's going to see where he's going to spot the ball. And as you can see here, the linesman's got his hand up with his palm open to signal the end of the ball down and dead, telling people that the live ball play is over. We're now in dead ball because the ball's dead, and telling the clock operator, please start the 40-second clock. They come on the field to help this umpire spot the ball. You can see that the referee's already gone and he's verbalized, I've got second down. He's holding up 2. You can see the line judge coming on the field here too with an open hand, signaling start the 40-second clock for the next play. And this play that we just had is over. And now they're giving the spot of the ball, okay? And they're telling the umpire where they want to spot it. So in this particular play, they don't, I call those lines, the solid lines are every 5-yard increment, obviously, and the other ones we call ticks for every other yard. We usually like to get it on a solid yard or a tick. In this case, they don't. They put it at a half-yard line, but that's where they had the forward progress. That's where the guy with the ball got to before he inevitably got pushed back, okay? So they gave him all the advantage of the farthest point he advanced the ball before he got pushed back. So the line judge had his hand up, saying to signify that the play is dead, start the 40-second clock, and now he's signaling to everybody that he's got second down. Okay? All right. And as Doug says, rinse and repeat. We do the same thing on the next play. On this particular play, I like the way it's handled on a 5-man crew because this is a pass play. And most of the pass plays in high school football, only go about 10 to 15 yards downfield. Now our linesman on the far side and our line judge down here, they're responsible for the tackle. So, okay, and they're watching these tackles. As soon as the tackles start to back up, they know that this is a pass play. They're in pass protection. And so now they've got to be on their guard to see how far this pass is going to be thrown downfield. And they've got that coverage downfield with the back judge down there. But you can see our umpire, as Doug said, running up to the line of scrimmage here to see if linemen are going to go past him, because the linemen are not allowed to go downfield on a forward pass that crosses the line of scrimmage. Our linesman here reads pass, and he starts to get downfield. He does a really good job on this. Roll it. It's a good read. The lineman gets on his horse because he knows that this is going to be deep. And here's our back judge back there. Okay, so the back judge gets moving because he's got the goal line. You can roll that play. And there is good coverage. Back judge, good job reading play and getting beyond it. He's not getting caught up in the play, and he's keeping his cushion. So the bill of the cap down here on the closest side of the screen down here, the line judge, that gives away what an official's looking at. And this guy's performing cleanup. He's watching back here behind the play. We've already got a back judge that's going to get to the goal line. And on the far side of the field, you can see our linesman running down the field. Okay, so this circled line judge down here, he's looking at cleanup. He's looking for anything that happens 40 yards away from the play that could bring this touchdown back if it's before the man with the ball crosses the goal line. I like the way that play's covered. Okay, very well covered. See what they're looking at. Okay, next play. Okay, on this play, I want to get the emphasis across that on the offense, players are only in one of two positions. They're either on the line of scrimmage or they're in the backfield. It's the only place you can be on the offense. There's one player that's in what we call no man's land. That's the quarterback if he's right under center, but he's always in the backfield, okay? You can only have 4 players in the backfield. So if you're not on the line of scrimmage, you're in the backfield on the offense. And the line judge and the linesman are responsible for telling each other and the rest of the crew whether the widest guy to them is on the line of scrimmage or off. And if he's not on the line of scrimmage, and clearly you can see the ball's marked right on the 45, and this player's on the 43, he's not on the line of scrimmage, the line judge is going to what we call punch him off. He doesn't do a terrific job of it right here, but he's going to extend his hand and punch it right off. He should be locking his elbow, not like that right now. That's kind of sloppy, quite frankly, but it should be extended full out. And see, now we're saying, here's the first player off, the second player is the quarterback, the third player is the running back, and the fourth player off is the slot receiver on the far side. Only 4 can be in the backfield when the ball snaps. So I wanted to tell you and teach you about how the wing officials punch off. The linesman winds the clock on this play. He's telling the clock operator, keep the clock going, because the ball carrier ended up in bounds when he got tackled. And you'll see here that the referee's coming in on the right side to help clean up, and the back judge is coming in from the left side on sweeps. They've got responsibility for coming in to clean up. Okay, all right. And with that, we're going to move on to our next position, and our next position is the linesman position. That's the fellow on the far side of the field, on the visitor side, and he has the responsibility for looking after the chain crew for the night. Our linesman tonight is James Merrow, who is a multi-state final official.
Thanks, Rob. If you want to take a few more minutes to talk about a funny story with me, go ahead. No, I'm just kidding. As Rob said, my name is James Merrow, and I'm entering my 12th year of officiating, and my primary position is the head linesman. As you can see on the screen there, the linesman. I like to refer to it as the chain gang leader and the controller of the visitor sideline. If you know, as a new official, if you think you have a good personality and you like to communicate with people, I would highly recommend you consider giving linesmen a shot to start your careers, because it's just a fantastic opportunity to utilize those skills you have. The purpose of tonight's presentation, obviously, is to give you a checklist of positional responsibilities. You know, we're not really trying to go into extensive details on everything. We're just, you know, hoping to give you the help you need to start your career in officiating and provide you with the confidence as you take the field the first time. So when you take the field for pregame, you'll be there 30 minutes prior to the kickoff, and you'll perform your pregame responsibilities in a business-like manner. And as you're doing that, keep in mind that lots of people are watching you, coaches, players, fans, game administrators. And so if you go out there with confidence and a business-like approach, you've already made a strong first impression, and you're going to gain a lot of confidence in all those people that I just mentioned. So you'll go out and you'll check the pylons and the yard markers, making sure that they're properly positioned. You'd be surprised how infrequently they are put in the right spot. So you'll want to make sure that you do that. You'll be checking the chains and the down indicator. The down indicator is also commonly referred to as the box, and that's where it shows, the down that's in play, whether it be a 1, 2, 3, or 4. So you want to make sure that those are all in proper working order. Again, you'd be surprised at times that may not be the case, but you'll want to take the time pregame to make sure that they are. You'll want to introduce yourself to the chain crew. Introduce yourself by name, get their names. I like to mark down the person who's handling the box on my card, because throughout the course of the game, that's the one I'll be communicating with almost on every down. And so I like to establish a relationship with them by name, and just saying, hey, second down. I may say, hey, Joe, it's second down. So I think that's important to do. I do the same with the ball boys or ball crew, if it's boys or girls. Get with them, introduce myself, get their name, explain what their responsibilities are, and establish a relationship with them, because they're very important to the flow of the game. And I make sure that the chain crew and the ball boys or crew understand that they're part of the crew. If they do a really good job, it's going to make your life really easy, and it's going to make the flow of the game go much better. And so I highly recommend that, you get to know them early and establish that trust and confidence between the two of you. The water crew, same thing. Introduce yourself to them, thank them for what they're doing, and let them understand the importance of their role and the things that you need them to do. It may seem crazy, but if they don't do their job properly, it makes our life more difficult. They have to be in a certain spot, and so it's just good to get that out of the way early. And then finally, you want to introduce yourself to the coaches and the players. You want to get to know most likely you're going to know the coach's name, but there's also a get back coach, and that's an important person to establish contact with, because they're responsible for, throughout the course of the game, making sure that the coaches and the players are back where they need to be during a live ball situation. Because if we get contacted during a live ball situation, that's a pretty big penalty. It's 15 yards, and we're not there to throw that. So if we warn them before the game even starts, hey guys, on a live ball, you need to be back here the whole game, and really emphasize that. And then we go to pre-snap. Pre-snap is, as Rob said earlier in his conversation with Doug, you have the referee and the linesman are working in cohesiveness throughout the whole game. It's the same way with the linesman and the line judge. So there'll be some overlap in what I'm saying now and what will be mentioned in a little bit by Fred when he goes over the line judge position. But first thing you want to do is count offensive players. It's so important you get that count, and you're doing that with the entire crew because you do not want play to go off with too many men on the field. The time to catch too many men on the field is before the play goes off. So get that, very, very important, something to focus on from your first time on the field all the way through. You want to make sure that the chains and the down indicator are proper. They're lined up right. You want to make sure that the down is right on the box. You want to make sure your indicator on your hand is the same, and you'll go around the crew to make sure everyone has the same. I think you'll remember there was a game a few years back in college. I think it was Colorado against Missouri or somebody, and it was kind of a famous or infamous play where, they gave them an extra down, and that's something that we want to prevent from happening. We want to make sure that there's a legal formation. That's very, very important to know that. Again, not going into great depth on that. It's just kind of touching on it as a checklist for you. You want to know your eligibles, because that's important as well, because, as the play develops, you need to know who's eligible, who's not, so you can rule effectively as the play goes on. Communication with the crew. We always say that there's 3 teams on the field. There's the offense, the defense, and the officials. And the same way that the offense communicates, like calling out plays and making their communications, and the defense the same, we as officials need to do it on every single play. Very, very important, and you'll learn that. You go around the horn, making sure everyone has the same, down indicator, whether it be penalties or, punching off, as Rob mentioned. That way I'm communicating to everybody on our crew that the person closest to me is off the line of scrimmage. That's kind of like a nonverbal, communication. Very, very important to do that. And then you want to rule on dead ball fouls. It's important to know the difference between dead ball fouls and live ball fouls, because if you've observed a dead ball foul, you want to shut down that play before the snap. Very, very, very important. It can be embarrassing if you have a dead ball foul and you let the play go off live. And so we want to prevent that from happening. But I will say this, if that were to happen, especially as you're starting out your careers, if you know it was dead ball and you're a little bit late, that's okay. Get that whistle, even if it's a second or two late, and that shuts it down, because as opposed to letting it go and then God knows if a touchdown is scored and then you've got a flag and you come back and you're explaining that it was a dead ball foul and you have to call back a touchdown. Whereas if you're a second or two late, that play is shut down before something good or bad can really start to develop. Okay, then we switch to during the play. So some of the things that you'll want to do is your initial read is, snap, tackle, ball. You want to make sure that there's, legal snap, then you're going to key on the tackle right away. If he fires out, you're probably going to read that as a run. And if he, takes a step or two back, you're going to read that as a pass, perhaps. And then you want to get a quick, glance at where the ball is at. Then you'll want to observe your initial keys. Those are important. Again, I emphasize the word initial because, you have to know who your initial key is, and you stay with them for the appropriate amount of time, but you may leave them. You don't want to only focus on your key the whole time, because then you could miss a lot of other things that you need to be aware of and ruling on. So that's why I say initial keys. Then you want to rule on plays near your sideline, as opposed to plays that go on the other end of the field over to the line judge side. You'll have different responsibilities if the play is in front of you, as opposed to if the play goes in the opposite direction. So if it's on your sideline, you want to rule on forward progress. You saw what that was on the clips that we showed earlier. So you'll read that play, and then you'll go to the forward spot of the ball, and you'll come up, you'll square it off. And when you square it off, that just means you're going to go in a straight line, and then you're going to go at a 90-degree angle, and you'll come up with your hand to indicate that the play is now a dead ball situation. And, you've watched everything that's going on in your area. In the clip that you saw, Rob touched on, you'll wind the clock if you have that play near the sideline. It might be hard for someone to see who's the clock operator. So that's where you're giving that communication. If it is a kill the clock situation, you will, wave your arms over your head in a clean, crisp, precise manner to let everybody there know the clock should be stopped. If you go up with a dead ball hand and it's second down, then you'll indicate with, you'll switch from the palm to just, the 2 or 3, or if it's fourth down, be a closed fist. And then when it's appropriate, you're going to want to move the chain crew. and you've always instructed them that don't move, do not move unless I ask you to move, because if by chance there's a penalty and they move too soon, whether it be the box and or the chains, we can have a real problem on our hand if there's a penalty and we need to go back to the previous spot, because at that point, it's tough to resurrect the down and distance. So you drive that point home. Do not move until I ask you to move, or the white hat, the referee, asks you to move. Because if there's a long run or a long pass play and you're 20, 30 yards down the field from where the chain crew started to start that play, the white hat may be the one, because he's back cleaning up, he may be the one releasing the chain crew to go down. And as I touched on earlier, the linesman is the leader of the chain crew. It's a big, big part of the game, and it helps you stay completely focused on each and every play, working with them. And it also, making sure that you can control the sideline. The visitor sideline, oftentimes, they're nervous coming in because they think that the officials could be homers, and you want to put their mind at ease. That's not the case at all. We're there to officiate the game. We don't care who wins. We just want to make sure that everyone, plays hard, plays well, plays safe, and we can all have a good time. So, in conclusion, if you remember anything I've said tonight, just remember that being a linesman is an awesome, fun position. And if you think you have a really fun personality, I would highly suggest you start your career.
All right. Okay, great. Thank you, James. And now we're going to talk about the other side of the field, the line judge. He's the commander of first downs. As you can see on this slide, he's looking across at the chains, and he can tell when somebody's gone through that second chain and got a first down. He has the home team sideline. That's the partner for the linesman across the field, and our line judge is Fred Bloss.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk to you tonight. I'm very excited to have that opportunity. And I applaud each and every one of you for taking the first step to becoming new football officials. I think it's fantastic. And as many others said, you're going to be rewarded, so much throughout your careers. And it really is something special to be a football official and be around all these players, coaches, other officials. It's great. So tonight I'm going to talk a little bit about line judge position. Before I actually go into the pregame and pre-snap and during the play routine, just want to tell you a little bit about, the line judge has to work in tandem with the linesmen, okay? Just like how Rob mentioned that the referee and the umpire are kind of like connected, the same thing happens with the line judge and the linesmen. We're the two wing officials, and we're responsible for each of our respective sidelines. You have to, as James mentioned, one of the characteristics of a line judge is being a really effective communicator. You've got coaches on your sideline that you need to communicate with. As you can see from the picture here, you see the referee is in the middle of the field, the back judge is in the middle of the field, the umpire is in the middle of the field. But as a line judge or a linesman, you're right on that sideline. You're in the thick of it. Okay, you have to do a lot of explaining. You got to do a lot of, talking with the coaches. So you really need to be a good communicator. Secondly, I think, again, I want to echo what James said. You want to conduct yourself in a business-like manner. Being a line judge, you're always typically working on the home side of the field or the press box side of the field, and you get to know these coaches. And particularly as you've been in this for many years, you get to know the coaches, and it's very, sometimes it can be a little bit comfortable to say, hey, Mark, instead of coach or Coach Jackson. And I just want to encourage you to always remain and keep that business-like decorum. So when you're on the field, it's Coach Jackson or Coach, not Mark, because that's a very important, because just the way that you want to be respected by the coaches, they want to be respected by you. All right, so let's move on into a couple of the responsibilities that we have as a line judge. Some of this is going to look as a repeat, and that's intentional. Because we want to drill this into your heads, and it's very important. During the pregame, just like the linesmen, you have responsibility to ensure that your pylons and yard markers are in the appropriate positions, and you learn more about where those positions are as you kind of have additional training and get out on the field and look at this. But you'll want to make sure that they're appropriately marked and in their appropriate position. You're going to meet with your ball crew, and you're going to talk to them about helping you ensure that you keep the flow of the game moving, okay? The ball crew can be critical to make sure that as plays end on your sideline or as deep passes go down the field, getting the ball in is very critical to make sure that the flow of the game happens effectively. Your water crew, James mentioned that, making sure they understand on the home water crew what they need to do. Meeting with your the coaches and players, again, building that rapport, building that trust, that confidence, making sure that the coaches and players know that you're open to being talked to, right? You're gonna, they're gonna get after you for things. That's inevitable. But you want to, build that trust and make sure that they know that they can come talk to you whenever they want. You also are going to be responsible for escorting the players out for the coin toss. You're going to be on the home side of the field. You're going to walk the players out with the referee. You're going to walk them out to the hash mark, and then you're going to retreat back to your sideline and let the referee and umpire meet the players out in the middle of the field. Pre-snap, okay? These are the things we're doing before the play starts, okay? Again, because you're opposite the linesmen, you have the view of the down indicator or the box, as James mentioned. So you're going to want to make sure that you observe that the box has the correct down. James gave that great example about the extra play that happened in that college football game. We don't want that to happen, and we want to make sure that it's clear to everybody, the fans, the coaches, the players, the other officials. Everybody needs to ensure that, see that we've got the correct down. You want to make sure that on your hand, the down indicator on your hand is correct, that it shows the correct down, because it's very important to, to know that, hey, if we've got a play that's going to result in a repeat of a down, you don't want to, move that down indicator on your fingers too quickly, because you're going to kind of in the thick of the game, you're going to forget, are we second down? Are we third down? So again, very important. You want to count the players from your sideline. This does vary association by association, so check with your association, when you start to do the training on the field. But in our association, the wing officials count the sideline. So if your sideline is on offense, you're counting the offense with the referee and the umpire. If your sideline is on defense, you're counting the defense with the back judge. Okay. You want to be aware of your eligible players. No ineligible players can go downfield on passes, so you want to make sure that they're eligible. Provide visual indication of the status of the widest player in your sideline. So Rob showed that video clip where you had the line judge punching off, as we called it. Okay. This is a visual indicator to everyone on the field, your fellow crewmates, to let them know that you have a player that's off the line of scrimmage. If I'm punching somebody off on my sideline, and I've got the linesman also punching off on their sideline, and then that's two people off the line of scrimmage right there. We know the quarterback is going to be a third person. If we've got a running back plus another player, maybe two running backs in the backfield, then we've got a problem. Okay? We've got more than 4 players in the backfield, and we want to get that penalty. Make sure we cannot have that play not be penalized because there was an incorrect formation. You want to watch for false starts and encroachments, okay? Just one thing to remember about high school football that we often, as new officials, you might not be used to, but in high school football, if the defense crosses over, then it's a penalty right away, okay? That is a foul right away. They cannot cross over and then come back on and put themselves back on sides. That can't happen. So that's called encroachment, and that's a penalty right away. During the play, many of the other officials mentioned this already. You want to read the play, because reading the play is going to help you determine where you need to anticipate going on the field. Do I need to anticipate that there's going to be a pass so that I can start moving downfield to be ready to rule on a pass play? Am I anticipating a run so that I can make sure that I'm, if a run's maybe coming to my sideline, it's very easy to get caught up in 20 players coming your direction. So if you got a run coming to your sideline, you want to position yourself, start to back up a little bit so you let that play get ahead of you, and you're in a position to A, not get hurt, and B, rule on the play. You want to watch blockers and defenders that are nearest on your sideline. Look for penalties, any kind of maybe holding penalties at the point of attack, or holding penalties on defensive backs that love to hold the receivers and prevent them from running their routes. on pass plays, you want to make sure, or at least help make sure, that the quarterback is behind the line of scrimmage when he throws the ball. Okay. The primary responsibility for that is the umpire and a 5-man crew. But you know, as Rob mentioned before, many of the pass plays that we have in high school football don't go very deep down the field. So you typically are going to be in a position to help the umpire out. You want to rule on plays near to your sideline. Get that forward progress, okay? The wing officials are always responsible for forward progress. And that means that, and not only that, we have to mirror each other, okay? We don't want to have one official standing on, you know, the 30-yard line and another official standing on the 31-yard line, okay? You want to be mirrored, and you want the official that where the play kind of ended, the sideline closest to where the play ended, is going to be kind of the covering official for that forward progress, and you're going to, you know, use that official as your, you know, as your point. You do want to raise your hand that the play has ended, that the play is over, so the 40-second clock can begin. And then, of course, you want to be responsible for killing the clock when there are first downs. Okay. The line judge, as Rob said before, is the head of first downs. The ref, you need to know mentally in your head as a line judge, where am I going to get a first down? And you need to know that when the ball crosses that point or the play ends where beyond that first down yard marker, then you're going to automatically go up and you're going to kill the clock, and you're going to give that visual indication to the referee that, hey, this play has resulted in a first down. Okay, and the referee is going to look directly at you, especially when it's close. He's going to look at you as the line judge to be, and if he sees your hands going up in the air, killing the clock, he knows automatically that it's a first down. Okay, so that's it for the line judge position. Now I'll hand it back over to Rob to introduce the next position.
Thank you very much. So our last final and fifth position on the field is the back judge. And I talked about tandems, and the referee and the umpire work together cohesively. We just talked about the linesman and the line judge working across the field from each other cohesively. The back judge is the lone ranger back there. He's the king of the defense. He's got to have good wheels. You've got to be able to move, because as you saw in the pass play that I showed before, you've got to be able to beat anyone to the goal line at the other end of the field. And it's a big position from a standpoint of you've got to have great judgment. They don't have many calls back there, but when they have them, they're critical and crucial. And we're fortunate tonight that we have a multi-state championship back judge in Troy Costain.
Thanks, Rob. Welcome, everyone. Looking forward to introducing the back judge position. And just like with everything else on the field, we have to clean up for our teammates and help them out. And we're way behind schedule, so I have to pick up the pace and help us out here. All right, so let's get into pregame. When we take the field for pregame, we want to get the pylons. There are 6 in each end zone, and they each have a specific position that they need to be located in. And these big calls that we have to make, we want to make sure that we know that they're in the right spot. So we want to make sure that those are placed properly. Then we're going to help the head linesman with the chains. If the chain crew's not available yet, we're going to meet with the ball boys and our wing official for each sideline. We want to make sure that we're part of that, the ball boys know we're part of that team as well. After those initial things are taken care of, we're going to stand at the 50-yard line, make sure both teams stay inside their 45-yard lines. We have good sportsmanship going on. And finally, for pregame, we're going to be on the visitor sideline, the linesman side, with the umpire escorting the players out on the field. Pre-snap. Pre-snap, we're going to count the defense all night long. You heard from both the linesman and line judge. They've got a lot of things going on. And in our association, we're going to count off the defense with the wing official whose sideline is on the defense. But as I tell our new back judges, if you get that 30% of the time, it's probably a pretty good night with your wings. So we need to make sure we know how many players on the field for the defense. And we want to get that penalty before the snap. There's 12 men on the field before the snap. It's a 5-yard penalty. After the snap is 15. We're going to observe the play clock on every play. We're going to make sure it's running. We're going to make sure that if we have not been able to set the ball in time, that we can communicate that with the referee, get the play clock reset. If we have a 25-second play clock, we're going to communicate with our white hat, again, what down it is, and prepare to see the start of the play clock or start it ourselves. At snap, we should be 20 yards deep, and we should be somewhere between the right and left upright, depending on where the ball is spotted. I call this the beginner position. As we learn more about the position, the flow of a game, and strategies of the game, we'll be able to move wider or tighter depending on where the ball's placed. But right now, as a beginner, you should be somewhere between the uprights that you're facing at the other end of the field. At the snap, you have a key of the widest receiver on the strength side of the formation. The wing official to that side will have the second receiver in, and the wing official on the other side will have the widest guy on his side. Those keys are important at the snap. So at the snap, we want to make sure that if our key is being played press coverage, that we observe that action, make sure nothing illegal happens to our receiver. If the defense is not in press coverage, we want to be able to see we're going to shift our focus to the tight end, watch that release, and he's going to tell us if it's a pass or run. Once we know we got a pass or run during the play, our first step is always going to be back, just like an outfielder in baseball. Crack of the bat, we got to be moving back. So at the snap of the ball, we're going to be moving back, and we're going to make sure no one's ever deeper than us. We're going to call the obvious fouls. We want a dead ball officiate. We want to use our voice. We're going to prevent penalties from happening by being a great communicator. All night long, we're responsible for the goal line, but at the same time, we're also responsible for the back line. So if during a play that you're on the goal line, a receiver moves into the end zone, you'll need to change your position and get to that back line, and you'll get assistance on the goal line from the wing officials. Your crew will discuss in pregame how to handle the goal line inside the 10-yard line. And that will get you started at the back judge position.
Great. Okay, we got a couple of plays we want to show you from the back judge position. So Fred's going to put them up right now. We'll widen that screen out. Okay, so here, obviously, let's just go through quickly. The referee's already counted. He's got 11. Okay, all right, and let's go. Roll the play. There's the 11th player coming on. Our umpire is counting 11 now. And the back judge, look at him. He's about 20 yards back off this ball. Okay, go ahead. Run play, and as Troy just said, he's reading it. First step is back. He has the goal line behind him, the most important spot on this field. It's a run to this side. He's going to hustle to come in and help, but he's watching the players around the ball to see there's no extracurricular activity. This play, let's roll this back for a second, Fred. This is a pass play. Okay, we should be good here. Back judge, 20 yards off the ball again. Okay, he's going to read pass. The crew's reading pass. Okay, let's go. There's the pass. There's our back judge. Great coverage. He doesn't get beat to the goal line. He's got the receiver in sight. And up he goes with a touchdown. Picture perfect for our back judge. Well done. Okay, we have two new officials I'd like to introduce to you. They just finished their first year. They only have a couple minutes to speak apiece, but they're doing a great job with their officiating careers so far. They just finished their first year. And the first one I want to introduce you to is Ian Anderson. And I think Kevin Holder, you are going to have to mute yourself, Kevin Holder. Jeremy, can you help there? Thank you. All right. And the first one I introduced you to is Ian Anderson. Just completed his first year. Great first year official, and we're really happy to have him. Go ahead, Ian.
Hey guys, as Rob said, I'm Ian Anderson, and I just finished my first year officiating for football. And I just wanted to share some things that I found really helpful in my first year, and I think that you might find helpful as well. So the first thing is just listening and learning, asking questions of those senior officials and listening to what they have to say. and then trying to take notes and figure out the best practices that they can pass along to you. And then some of the other stuff, it's common sense, and it kind of goes with everything in life. Like, don't make excuses. If you miss something, don't try and make up an excuse for why you missed it. If you're late to a game, don't be making up an excuse for why you're late to a game. That kind of goes right into my next point. Be early, especially for those JV and freshman games on Thursday nights. That way you can get there early, and then you can start asking your senior officials questions. Be organized. Don't be showing up to the field not being able to find your penalty flag or your whistle or your hat. You want to have all that stuff organized in your bag, ready to go for the game. Be neat and clean. I think everyone's mentioned this tonight. Just looking the part goes a long way. The next thing is find a mentor and seek their help. So just trying to find someone, another senior official who, if you have an interesting play happen or something weird happens, like a punt that goes backwards, you can go to them after the game if there's no time after your game and say, hey, this happened in my game. What advice do you have for this to handle so I can handle it better next time? And then another big thing is study the rules. My first game, the fourth play, I was a line judge, and there was a pass interference flag. We all threw penalty flags for it. Marked it, great. Pass was nowhere near catchable. And then I have a coach behind me starting to go, that pass wasn't catchable. That pass wasn't catchable. And me knowing the rules, I was able to turn around and say to him, my fourth ever play, coach, that's not a rule in high school football. The pass doesn't have to be catchable. And he's like, oh, okay. And we went on our way. And then the main thing, if I could pass along to you, is just focusing on one or two things. There's so many moving parts to it. And if you could just take one or two pieces at a time and get those down. So for your first game, it could be counting your 11 players and killing the clock at first downs or whenever the clock needs to be killed. And then, your second game, you can work on finding the eligible receivers and punching off if your farthest receivers off the line of scrimmage, just getting that arm out and working on the mechanics.
Great. Thank you, Ian. And he had a terrific first year. Our second new official just completed his first year as William Castillo, and William came to us. He had some coaching experience at the youth league level. Go ahead, William.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me here. I really appreciate it. I came from the coaching background. I coached for 25 years, everything from 7-year-olds up through high school. And I decided that I wanted to be an official, and I'm really glad I did it. I really am. I really enjoy it. A couple of things. Number one, work on your mechanics. That is really important. You want to look the part. There's a lot of hand signals you've got to do. Believe it or not, learning how to blow a whistle, you may not think it's a big deal, but it really is. Just work on your mechanics while you're at the training sessions, while you're watching people. Ask them, ask as many questions as you can. Try not to take shortcuts. That'll make you look bad in the long run. I will never forget Larry, who's on here. During one of our training sessions, he showed us how to square off the ball when you're coming down the sidelines. And then I saw a tape of me not squaring off, and I looked ridiculous. And it keeps me thinking every time I do it. So try not to take shortcuts. Try to learn as much as you can. Stay in shape. I really recommend you start doing something now. Don't wait. Couple of months now, it's going to be on top of you. And you're going to do a lot of running. It's hot out there, but you'll feel better if you start now. It's really good. Try to go to every meeting and every training session that you can get your hands on. I went to as much as I could. Thank God that our association's really good about it. And wherever they were having a scrimmage or a practice or any kind of session that we had, they had plenty. And I went to every one of them. Try to go to a game every Friday night. If you're not assigned a game, call your assigner or call your mentor and see if maybe you can go out there with them and watch and see what's going on. It'll really, really help you. I worked the clock a couple of times at the beginning, and believe me, I saw a lot, and it helped me a lot. Anything they ask you to do, try to get it done. When you get assigned a game, it really helps if you can communicate back to them right away. Let them know if you can get there to the game or not, and try to take as many games as you can. If you get a clock assignment, take it. It is a really good lesson. It's really good to be up there. You can see a lot. You learn a lot. It's something that you need to do. I enjoyed it, and I'll do it again. I don't have a problem. I think it's really good, and it gives you a lot of experience. And just remember this, guys, especially if you were coaching and now you want to be an official, the biggest game you're at, that's it. That's the game, the one you're there. It might not mean much to you, but just remember that those coaches and those players, they've only been talking about that one game the entire week, and that's the most important game to them. So treat it like that with them. And I think that you made a really good decision coming out here. If you do it, you're going to love it. And I really appreciate all the guys that were on today. Every one of them have helped me, and I think you're going to have a good experience. I think you made a good decision.
Great. I want to thank you all for attending. We try to keep our sessions to around an hour, and we're just a couple minutes over that. But I want to tell you, it's the experience of being around this game and all the values that it teaches these guys and these girls that play the game. On a Thursday or Friday night with the national anthem playing, the coaches are amped up, the players are amped up. As William just said, every game's the biggest game. That 5 o'clock freshman game between two teams that haven't won a game all season, to them, that's the biggest game. It's the biggest game in the state. The fans in the stands, the band's playing, we get amped up just like they do. And so there are some things that you probably want to know, and Jeremy's put it up here regarding where do you get your FHSA approved vendor apparel. And Jeremy's just put it up on the screen right there. These are the 4 people that are sanctioned by the Florida High School Athletic Association to sell gear. And we will get this information to you later on as well. If you want a copy of it, we can certainly get this information out to you. In addition, I'm going to recommend 2 last things. The FHSA Central Hub, which is going to be part of the arbiter system that you're going to be getting your games from assigned to you by your local association. It's very, very good. It's a very good tool and advice for finding information about officiating. In addition to the Reading Study Guide, this is $20, and it explains the rules simplistically. This is the best thing you can do as an official. The best $20 you'll ever spend is for this Reading Study Guide, and you can get it, as you can see right there, at sdistributors.com. It is terrific. The rule book itself is fantastic, and you're going to get when you register with the FHSA, you're going to get a paper rule book provided by your local association. But this Reading's Guide, it really made a difference in my career. Once I got that, I was able to read through the rules simplistically. So I want to thank each and every one of you from across our great state for being here. I'm telling you, we may have thrown a lot at you. Don't worry about it. We're going to get you through it. And I'm sure you're going to find officiating as fun and rewarding as we found it to be around this great game, all these great players and young men and young women, and all of our great fellow officials. So with that, if there's anything else, Jeremy, Frank, anybody from the FHSAA, if you'd like to pipe up, please, and then from there we'll take some questions.
Hey, I appreciate everyone coming. This was awesome. I learned a lot just about officiating. It's been a dream of mine to be an umpire one day. So I was a coach for 22 years in the state of Florida, and I always wanted to try my hat at being an umpire. So I'm an offensive line guy, so I may do that. I'm going to definitely go back and watch this on YouTube before they give me a uniform and let me go out and do that. Ian, William, I appreciate you guys for sharing. It's not an easy thing to do after your first year, but those are some great pointers, even some things that I learned. So thank you all for coming. Greater Naples, thank you guys again. Y'all do so much for us, and we appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate all you do for us up at the FHSAA. So with that, Fred, do we have any questions that we can answer?
Yeah, we only had one question about the rule books. I think it was asked in the chat. Jeremy, maybe you want to take that one?
Yeah, I'll take that one. So for those of you who didn't know, Frank Beasley, he is our football administrator. I know a lot of you guys and gals are new. This may be your first year, but Frank Beasley is our football administrator. I'm Jeremy Hernandez. I oversee officials as the assistant director here in Florida. Just wanted to give a little quick introduction to ourselves. As far as the rule book goes, we are working on those now. We'll be sending out rule books to the local associations, as Fred was kind of mentioning. And then as you register and when you register, you will receive a hard copy rule book from your association.
Great.
I think we have, this is a little bit of a more, as Jeremy said at the beginning, it's a little bit more of a kind of casual, kind of face-to-face session with just a few number of participants. So if anybody's got a question, you can unmute yourself and ask the question, live. If you don't want to type it in the chat, maybe we'll just give a few seconds for anybody. And remember, there's no silly question, guys. I know it's got a lot of people on the call, but there's no silly question. And if you are wondering something, I can guarantee you that probably everybody else is wondering the same thing.
I got a question. What's the easiest way to find a mentor? What's the easiest way to do that? Sometimes, our officials get really cliquish, I don't want to say. Some of our associations are a little bit different than others. And what's the best way to do that, if you can offer any advice there?
Yeah, sure. That's a great question, Frank. And you know what I'm going to do? I'd love to have Larry Rorta, the trainer for our association, who's been doing this a long time, maybe offer his thoughts on that. Not to put you on the spot, Larry, but maybe if that's okay.
No problem. What I would suggest that the younger official do is just look around the room and find somebody that's got some common sense with a little bit of experience that is willing to work. You don't need to have or find the guy that thinks he knows it all. You need the guy that has a level head and is willing to participate and contribute. So it doesn't necessarily mean the guy standing in front of the room, but it's a guy that maybe is working the same position as you. And if you just simply come up and say, hey, I've been watching you in a couple meetings. It looks like you know what's going on. Would you mind answering a couple questions? And maybe I could call you during the week. Would that be okay? What we should be trying to do as seasoned officials is making ourselves available so that we become a stronger association and we're stronger on the field. So I think that's one of the things that the Greater Naples Officials Association tries to do, is make ourselves available.
Great. Any other questions, Fred?
Yeah, Jeremy, you want to take that one about the YouTube from Connor?
I will. The sessions will be available through YouTube. I'll post them up there tonight or tomorrow morning. And then I will send out the links to our FHSA Central Hub, where you can directly view not only this session, but the previous sessions that we've held for all of the officials over the last few weeks. So I'll get that link out as soon as I'm able to link it up to YouTube and then to the FHSA Central Hub.
Great. Frank, Chris Nicholson's wondering when the rules test is going to be this year. Do we know those dates yet?
We do. Let me Taylor, do you happen to have those handy real quick? If not, I don't have it off the top of my head, but we can definitely look. Give us 1 second.
That's above my pay grade. Jeremy handles that.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up. Just 1 second.
And we're fortunate tonight. If you haven't met Frank Beasley, as I said, he's the director of football for the FHSAA. He's the man. And then Jeremy looks after the officials, and Taylor does all of the help and a lot of work with the registration and whatever. She's our liaison when we call Gainesville for any questions. So we thank them all for helping us.
Taylor does all the work.
So I'm kind of curious, while Taylor's doing that, if you all don't mind spend another moment or two. I'm kind of curious of, after seeing the session tonight, if you wouldn't mind typing in the chat window what position you think you're interested in. I think I'm really curious to see the results of your thoughts there.
And then while you do that, there was another question that came in from Christopher. Where can I find the rule changes for the season? And those are also on the FHSA Central Hub. If you are new and you haven't registered before, I know there may be a couple with 1 or 2 years of experience joining us. But if you are brand new, please email myself and I can get you those rule changes. On the FHSA Central Hub, you have to have an account already with Arbiter. So again, if you are brand new, please reach out to myself. I'll put my email in there and I can get you those rule changes.
There's another thing called refstripes.com. If you go to refstripes.com, that's an officials forum where officials from all over the country get on and discuss different rules. And they have a college section and they have a high school. We are the National Federation of High Schools, NFHS. rules discussion. If you click on that, one of the first things they've got on there are the rule changes for this year.
Great. Question from Tom about what kind of shoes we wear. I think that's part of the package you buy on one of the sites, right, Jeremy?
Yes, that's correct. I know a couple of the websites or a couple of the vendors, they have like a brand new officials type of package that you can order from them. And I do believe it includes the shoes, but most of the time it's all black. I know some do like a little white on them. It kind of depends on the association, I believe, with whether they allow white or not, but it is all black. So if you guys want to give any styles or brands that you're aware of, if you want to share that with them.
It's all subjective. Some people like Asics and some people like New Balance, some like Adidas. But again, you try to have as much black as possible. Keep the white to a minimum, even though the FHSAA is now allowing white on shoes, and so is the National Federation of High Schools. Try to keep that to a minimum as much as possible.
You know, can I just, the shoes, it's not a bad idea to have two pairs. Because like you said, my first game, it was soaking wet, and I think it took 2 weeks for those shoes to dry out. But sometimes you might be doing a game on grass, and you might want like a set of cleats or something with little spikes, or you're on a nice turf field. And, you know, so I like wearing Asics, and they make me move.
Great. I think, Larry, you've got a question. I see your hand raised.
It's got a quick comment about shoes. I mean, one of the things that I would highly recommend is getting your shoes well in advance of the season, at least 2 or 3 weeks, and do some short runs with your shoes on in the beginning, because you don't want to develop plantar fasciitis or something like that when you go out to your first 2.5 hour, 3-hour game with your brand new shoes.
Great.
Fred, I'm going to touch up on the test dates really quick. Taylor did post that in the chat, but in case you didn't see it, the test dates right now are scheduled to open August 3rd, and it will be available until September 7th. So once you register, you get your Arbiter account and take care of all that business, you'll be able to log in and take the test through Arbiter as well.
And we can register, I think you had said last Saturday, Jeremy, July 10th, I think is the date. Is that right?
That is the plan right now to open registration July 10th. Yes.
Okay.
Great.
Initial deadline is August 10th, just so everybody has that in their heads.
And by the initial deadline, that just means after August 10th, there's a bump as far as the late fee included in there. So it would go from 45 to 55 after that August 10th date.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have any other questions? Anyone else want to turn on their video or ask the question in the chat box? Feel free. If not, we can let everyone go on their way. And if needed, I know Rob has, if there's interest, had said that they could possibly do another session, possibly. So feel free to email myself. I put that there in the chat for some feedback, if this was good or what you thought of it. I'm not seeing any other questions come through, so I think we'll wrap it up. Rob, if you don't mind, do you have any other final words?
No, just we wish them all terrific success in their career. We thank the FHSAA for giving us this opportunity. And we hope to see everybody sometime in a clinic somewhere, and wish them all the success and hope that they have as much fun and enjoyment out of officiating as we've got from it.
Yes, sir. Thank you everyone for joining us. We wish you, like Rob said, a successful season and years to come. Hopefully you stick with it. Stay safe, and we'll see you in another session. Thank you, guys.